I'm so excited. I am so excited. College basketball preseason rankings are here, and I'm very excited. I was so sad, so sad when March Madness was canceled. I need to show you guys one thing. I gotta find it for. Oh, here it is. I made this the day before the world shut down. Right? March 16th or whatever, the day the world shut down and all sports were canceled. There weren't any sports for like 3 months. I made that the day before because the day before, 2 days after that, was supposed to be Selection Sunday. I watched Michigan. I'm a big Michigan State fan, if you didn't know. Watched Cassius Winston's last three, getting excited for the NCAA tournament, and it was ripped from me, taken away from me. I was so incredibly devastated. It was awful, terrible, and sad, but we've waited. We've waited. There are very few people who are bigger college basketball fans than I am, and we finally have the 2021 preseason rankings, and I'm very, very excited for it. MSU is 13, not terrible. That's about where I thought they'd be. I thought they'd be a little higher, but, 13 is fine. I'm going to go through each team. We're going to go through others receiving votes, and then I'm going to talk to you about when the season is going to start. It's the big games to watch out for, but I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So let's quickly go over the poll. Number 1, Gonzaga, Baylor, Villanova, Virginia, Iowa, Kansas, Wisconsin, Illinois, Duke, Kentucky, Creighton, Tennessee, Michigan State, Texas Tech, West Virginia, North Carolina, Houston, Arizona State, Texas, Oregon, Florida State, UCLA, Ohio State, Rutgers, and Michigan. So let's start with the consensus number 1, but in terms of points, they got the number 1 rank by 1 point. That's wild, but Gonzaga is your number 1 team in the country. I can agree with this. They have a lot of good players returning. They've got, Killian Tilly. They got that transfer, Andrew Nemhard. They have some 5-star too. Forgot his name, but Gonzaga is going to be really good. They're looking to dominate the West Coast Conference, so they're looking for a title this year. Gonzaga has never won a national title for basketball. They came close in 2018 or 17, but lost to North Carolina. So they're looking for a title this year. Right behind them is Baylor. They were up there as one of the best teams in the country with Jared Butler, Maceo Teague, and all those really great players. And they're pretty much all back. Baylor kept a lot of that really good team that they had. So they're up there again. They lost out on the number 1 preseason ranking by 1 point. Although number 1 preseason ranking doesn't mean anything. MSU was number 1 last year. They finished 9 or something. Can't quite remember. Now I don't know everything about every team, but if I know a team is good and worthy of that ranking, I'll tell you. But I don't know much about some of these teams. Villanova, they were really good. They were top. I think they were part of a 3-way tie, I think, for the Big East regular season title with Creighton and Seton Hall. It sounds like they have a lot of their really good players back. Virginia getting 1 first-place votes. They are the defending national champions. I say that in air quotes because there really wasn't a tournament last year. You could have given Kansas the national title last year because they finished as the AP number 1 team, or you could have given it to Dayton because they had the best record. But then again, time's passed them by. Iowa, they have top player in the country. Luka Garza was one of, if not the best player in the country last year. He was at least top 5. Anywhere you went, Luka Garza carried Iowa, and he is back this year. Best player in the Big Ten is back. That's wild. That is wild that he is staying. Kansas, they're always good. They kept, what's that dude's name? Garrett. I know his last name's Garrett. He's a lockup defender. I know he's still there. I know they lost Dotson and Azubuike, but they're still going to be a very good team. Wisconsin, they're always a pretty good team. Illinois, I think they're going to win the Big Ten. They have Ayo Dosunmu, who was one of the best point guards of the Big Ten last year, was a top 50 player, I think, maybe even. He was a stud last year. He single-handedly almost beat Michigan State, I remember. He is really, really good. And his partner in crime, Kofi Cockburn, center, he is back again. Those were 2 players that I thought were going to declare for the draft, and they both decided to stay. Huge for Illinois. They have 2 studs on their team that could lead them for that dynamic duo, and they have a lot of really good role players. They had some guy last year that was like draining threes like it was nobody's business. So they're going to be really good. Duke, you know about them. They're always really good. Big Ten ACC Challenge. Duke plays Illinois. That'll be a good game. Kentucky, you know they're always good. Creighton. I am very high on Creighton this year. I think that they won the Big East regular season title. They were like tied for it or something. I remember they like rushed the court after beating Seton Hall. I know that they're a really good team. They kept most of their team, and they are looking for a run at the Big East. It's going to be either them or Villanova for the Big East. I actually think they're a little bit better. I'm really high on Creighton this year. Tennessee, they kept a lot of their team from last year. They had a really good team 2 years ago, and then they lost a lot of that talent. But a lot of the talent that was there on that number 1 team, they got to grow last year, and now they're coming back with a vengeance. I think they're going to be a very good team. Michigan State, you guys know I'm a very big Michigan State fan. Rocket Watts, Aaron Henry, and Gabe Brown are going to be the big 3 this year. I thought Aaron Henry and Rocket Watts are both thinking about declaring for the NBA draft. They both decided to stay. That's big for MSU. So I'm really glad that they stayed. Gabe Brown is an animal when he wants to be. Very streaky player, I feel like. Same thing with Rocket Watts. Rocket Watts will have these games where he'll go on like a tear and drain a bunch of threes in a row. And then he'll have games where he just does nothing. I'm looking for more out of Thomas Kithier. He was supposed to be really good last year, and he did absolutely nothing. I'm hoping for a bigger impact from him. I know I'm missing someone. Anyway, that's enough about MSU. Texas Tech. Chris Beard has been extended for lifetime. The former really good coach at Arkansas Little Rock has brought his defensive mindset to Texas Tech. They had a rough time last year, but it sounds like a lot of people from that team are back and ready for another round. And I think they're going to be a really good contender in the Big 12. West Virginia, they are a very good team. I'm usually more high on West Virginia than a lot of people are. A lot of people, West Virginia's no good. I'm always like, hey, they're a pretty good team. I think Bob Huggins is a very underrated coach, and I think they will once again have a very good team. Last year's disappointment of the year, North Carolina. I know a lot of Tar Heel fans, they were very upset after what happened last year. They were ranked 6th in the preseason poll. Then they finished last in the ACC regular season. And it is not good for them. But it sounds like they have another really good recruiting class. Some players from last year's team have stayed, and North Carolina is looking to get back on top in the basketball world, but they're not in the top 10. They're ranked 16. Houston, I know nothing about Houston. I have no idea. They usually have a pretty decent team, so I wouldn't necessarily count them out. Arizona State, I don't really know much about them either. Texas, I feel like Texas is always overrated in basketball. I just feel like they are. They never, I think, they never live up to expectations. So, the jury's still out on Texas. Oregon, I know they have a few returning starters. I know Peyton Pritchard left. I know he left. But they still have a lot of very good players on that team. Florida State, don't know really much about him. What's their coach's name? They have a really good coach. I think it's Leonard Hamilton or something like that. I think that's what his name is. They're usually a really good team. UCLA, I don't know much about them. Maybe they can contend with Oregon and Arizona State for the Pac-12 title. Ohio State, I don't know much about them. Geo Baker and Rutgers find themselves in the top 25. Rutgers was well on their way to breaking a 20-year NCAA postseason drought last year, but then the tournament got canceled. But Geo Baker is back for another round with Rutgers. This guy's a stud. Rutgers was very inconsistent last year, though. They were beating some top teams of the country, and then when they would go out and lose to Northwestern or a not very good team from the Big Ten. They're a very inconsistent team. We'll see if they can pull it together and make a good year out of this. And Michigan, the team with next year's number 1 recruiting class. Don't really want to have to deal with them next year. They come into this year. They're ranked. I'm not sure how good they'll be. I don't think they're going to be that good. I think they have a lot of players on their team that I think are pretty overrated. So that's the top 25. We'll show you the other teams that got votes. Let me pull out here. Let me make sure you guys can like see everything good. I'll put myself over here because you know every team is 0-0. Okay, so Gonzaga, Baylor, Villanova, Virginia, Iowa, Kansas, Wisconsin, Illinois, Duke, Kentucky, Creighton, Tennessee, Michigan State, Texas Tech, West Virginia, North Carolina, Houston, Arizona State, Texas, Oregon, Florida State, UCLA, Ohio State, Rutgers, Michigan. Other teams receiving votes: LSU. They had 2 people vote them as high as 14th, but a bunch of people had them at unranked. I know they're supposed to be a pretty good team. I think were on their way to making the tournament last year. They had a few people staying. Florida, I don't think Florida will be that good. Andrew Nebhart gone over at Gonzaga where he is now. I don't think the Gators will be that great of a team. They're tied with Memphis in terms of votes. I know Memphis, they got Penny Hardaway. They're supposed to be turning the program around. I had them going to the Final Four preseason. Let me know if you guys want me to make a preseason bracketology. I know you want me to do it, and I will do it. But yeah, and then James Wiseman gets hit for taking money from, or Penny Hardaway gets hit for taking James Wiseman money. I don't know. Memphis, I feel like, is a volatile team this year like they were last year. They pulled off some really good wins last year without James Wiseman, but they also had some head-scratching losses. Alabama, don't know much about them. 2 people have them at 14 as well. Indiana, they have a very good player. My friend's a big Indiana fan. He's all over this guy, Trace Jackson Davis. He's a very good player. He's going to have to lead this team, and he's definitely very good. It's just they're going to need a little bit more help around him. Louisville lost a ton of talent last year. They're kind of falling a little bit, but they're going to be looking to rebuild their program with a better year this year. Richmond, this is one of my 2 sleeper teams for the year. The Richmond Spiders come in. The highest they were ranked was 21. They were like a bubble team last year. Like they were thinking they were like maybe gonna get in, but maybe not. They were right on the edge of getting in or not. But they had almost everyone from that team stay. They returned a lot of talent from that team. And Dayton is no longer going to be the cream of the crop in the A10 anymore because they lost a ton of time. I do think Dayton will still be a pretty good team. A lot of people have Dayton ranked like 100. They still got Jalen Crutcher, who is a very great clutch 3-point shooter. He made a ton of big threes throughout Dayton's season. So Dayton will still be pretty good. But Richmond definitely going to be better than they will be. They are definitely the favorites to win the A10. I definitely think they can go on a run and maybe make it deep in the NCAA tournament. Stanford, they were pretty overrated last year, in my opinion. They had like one really good win or whatever, but they had like a really good record because they didn't lose to any bad teams. It's just they constantly got beaten by really good teams. Providence, they lost a little bit of talent from last year, but I still think they'll be a pretty good team. Auburn, I don't know about them. St. Louis, they will give Richmond a run for their money in the A10, but I still think Richmond is better. UConn, new additions to the Big East. Aren't they in the Big East? I don't really know. San Diego State went like undefeated last year through like the Mountain West. They were like unranked to start last year, I think, or they were ranked like 20-some. They returned a little bit of talent from that team, but I don't think they have a lot of national respect. I do think that they will be a pretty good team again this year. BYU, they had like a Cinderella run last year. They were looking to go on a Cinderella run because they were draining. They beat Gonzaga, by the way, at home. They're in Gonzaga's conference for basketball. They were draining threes like it's nobody's business. They were ranked as high. They were like the top 10 at one point last year. So they will probably be another very good team this year. Loyola Chicago. I disagree with Loyola Chicago being the highest Missouri Valley Conference team. We'll get to that later, but they still have a very good. Their coach is really good. And from the Chicagoland area, when this team made the Final Four, everyone was behind them. Let's be honest, Chicago college basketball. You've got Chicago State, who is literally the worst team in America. Chicago State went. I think Chicago State went like 4-28. And all their wins were against like D4 teams. And then UIC almost made the tournament last year. They made it to their conference championship game on a Cinderella run, but lost to, I think, North Kentucky. Seton Hall, they lost a ton of talent from last year. Miles Powell, he's gone. Quincy McKnight, I'm not sure if he's still there. I don't think he is. But they lost a ton of talent from last year. I don't think they'll be very good. Northern Iowa. They have arguably the best shooting guard in the country. I think his name's Jalen Green. I think that's his name. I'm not very good with names for like these college players I've never seen play. I think his name's Jalen Green. He was really good last year for Northern Iowa. They retained quite a bit of talent from that team. I think they're definitely going to win the Missouri Valley Conference. Loyola will give them a run for their money. But I definitely think Northern Iowa will be up there in terms of being one of the better non-major conference teams. And then UNC Greensboro, I know literally like nothing about them. And there's one more thing I want to look at. We're going to look at some notable games. Now, there are a ton of teams that have not scheduled games yet. That's just a fact. But there are some really notable games on here that I want to talk about. So, let's get right into it. First day of college basketball is the 25th. All these holy cow, there are loads of teams in action. Who is Xavier LA? Definitely a Division II team there. But there are a ton of teams in action. The most notable game would probably be West Virginia, Texas A&M. But a lot of little schools are playing. All the times are to be determined. Games that are on ESPN, West Virginia, whatever. The 25th, I'm so excited for that day. Utah State, Wichita State, that'll be a good game. The 26th, 27th. Here, we're gonna search for ranked teams. Or no, I don't think I can do that. Nah, it won't let me switch to like only ranked teams. But there are some really good games that are fixing to be coming up on some of these days. Virginia, Florida on the 27th. 28th, doesn't look like any good. There's like all these little teams are playing. But like I'm so excited. Texas Tech and Houston and Baylor at Seton Hall on the 29th. These will be some good games, definitely. The 30th, there's one game. No, it's not on the 30th. I was thinking of another game. This is when the Maui Invitational starts, which is going to be playing in Asheville, North Carolina. But you've got North Carolina, UNLV. Who else is in that? Texas and Davidson are in there. Indiana Providence are in there. I think it's going to come down to probably Indiana and North Carolina. There's one big. Kentucky at Kansas on the 30th. This will be a huge game. These teams are always very good. That's supposed to. Oh wait, no, that's the Champions Classic, I think. Yeah. So this is supposed to be the Champions Classic. Duke is supposed to play Michigan State on this. So if you guys don't know, the Champions Classic is Kentucky, Kansas, Michigan State, Duke. They all play each other. Michigan State played Kansas 2 years ago, and they played Kentucky last year. So they're supposed to play Duke, although that game is not on the schedule yet, but I'm pretty sure that's what's going to end up happening, unless the Big Ten is like, no, we can't play any out-of-conference teams, even though they're doing the Big Ten ACC Challenge, which is when Michigan State plays Virginia. I'm excited to play Virginia. I think we'll beat them. The second, there's like a big game. I can't remember what day it is. St. John's at Texas Tech. That'll be a good game. There's some marquee matchups. Bellamar at Duke. That'll be a Wisconsin Marquette. That'll be a good game. Mostly because this is sort of like an in-state. These teams are both from Wisconsin. This is sort of like an in-state rivalry. I know like they don't play all the time, but like Wisconsin's considered the cream of the crop in terms of Wisconsin schools. Marquette's probably gonna have something to say about that. So that will be exciting to watch there. Oh, here it is. A matchup between number 1 and number 2, and they'll most likely stay that way until this game comes around. I don't see either one of these teams losing. Either one of these teams, this might be the first game they play. Gonzaga at Baylor. This is going to be a marquee matchup. I'm telling you right now, this game is going to be it's going to be amazing. This game is going to be a lot of fun. I should be streaming for this game Saturday, December 5th. And that's when college football's on. Hopefully there's not any good games. I don't want to watch this game. This game is going to be a lot of fun. 1 versus 2. That's just going to be a lot of fun. Villanova at Texas. That will be a good game. What else do we got here? There's like one more. No, Big Ten ACC Challenge. North Carolina at Iowa. Illinois at Duke. Creighton at Kansas. That's for like the Big East, Big 12 showdown or something. Syracuse at Rutgers. That'll be a good game. I'm so excited. Here's day 2 for the Big Ten ACC Challenge. This is Michigan State, Virginia. The game I was talking about. Louisville, Wisconsin. That'll be a good game. Indiana, Florida State, NC State, Michigan. These are all going to be just really good games. And then I think eventually you get into conference play, and not every team has made their conference schedule yet. So I think it's going to be a little bit iffy. I know like the Big East has already come out with their conference schedule. The Big 12 has. I know the Big 10 hasn't, which is making me a little upset. But I'm trying to, yeah, so this is like as far as we go. But smash like if you are excited for college basketball. I know I am. And yes, I will see you throughout the college basketball season. I didn't do much in terms of college basketball picks. Might need to start doing that on a weekly basis. Picks, the picks are great for NFL and college because it's like on a weekly basis and you've got like a schedule. There's games every day for college basketball. I don't know how I would be able to get like a schedule in, but we'll have to see about that. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next time.